Walking on eggshells around a narcissist isn't a personality flaw. It's a survival strategy, your nervous system trying to protect you. You stop asking, "Am I happy here?" and start asking, "Is it safe to be myself right now?" If you've ever shrunk yourself to keep the peace, afraid that one wrong word or look might set everything off, this reflection is for you. By the end of this video, you'll better understand why you were constantly bracing, overthinking, apologizing, and see that it says far more about the emotional climate you are in than anything wrong with you. My hope is that you'll leave with a softer, more compassionate view of yourself and a bit more permission to trust your own signals again. In Anna's story, walking on eggshells doesn't begin with shouting, it begins with his mood. Breakfast turns into a weather forecast. She places his coffee just so, measuring his expression like a storm warning. A raised brow, she's failed again. A sigh, something terrible must be coming. So she tries harder. Before she says a word, she scans the room for clues, asking silently, is it safe to speak, to smile, to breathe? Not because she's naturally anxious, but because, over time, she's learned, one small mistake can cost me the whole day. That's what walking on eggshells really is. Not drama, not oversensitivity, but your body doing its best to navigate emotional unpredictability. Over time, the pattern sharpens. One night, under the hum of the kitchen light, she fumbles with the dinner plates, distracted and tired. A fork slips, a dish clinks too loudly. He looks at her the way someone inspects a crack in the wall. You can't get anything right, can you? He isn't yelling, he isn't slamming doors. He just sounds disappointed. The tone isn't explosive, it's clinical, detached, like he's diagnosing a patient. Her throat closes, tears sting, but she fights them back. She's learned he hates when she cries. "I'm sorry," she whispers. He exhales, slow and satisfied. And then he says the line that locks the cage. "I'm just trying to help you be better." Have you ever heard a version of that? It might sound like, "I'm only saying this because I care." I'm trying to help you. I just want what's best for you. You don't register it as abuse. You register it as truth. You think, maybe I am failing. Maybe I am too sensitive, too messy, too emotional. What you don't see yet is, they're not making you better. They're making you smaller. And that's the trap of it. He frames the breaking of her spirit as guidance. Inside her, something shifts again. She's not just failing. The breaking itself is being sold to her as help. And because there were real moments of tenderness before, you don't recognize this as harm. You see it as feedback you should take seriously. That's the twist of devaluation. Cruelty arrives dressed as correction. And eventually you start believing that being torn apart is somehow part of love. Now she flinches before he even speaks. She rewrites her sentences before they leave her lips. She practices being smaller, quieter, safer. Her laughter becomes a ghost. Her confidence, a costume she puts on for the world. Inside, she whispers apologies for existing, for taking up space, for every feeling that dares to rise. At a friend's dinner, Anna wears a dress she loves. Soft fabric, a color that lights up her skin. She laughs at a joke, gestures freely, and for one bright moment she feels like herself again. David's eyes follow her, calm, measuring. He leans in and softly says, "You laugh a lot. People might think you're too much, don't you think?" The tone is gentle, conversational, almost caring, but each word lands like a quiet weight. The laughter that felt natural a minute ago now feels wrong. Her nervous system takes notes. Your joy is risky. Your presence is a lot. Next time, tone it down. By the end of the evening, Anna is more composed, more careful, more contained, a quietly edited version of herself. From the outside, she looks simply reserved. From the inside, she's learning a new rule. To be loved, you must constantly manage yourself. When this becomes your normal, you might recognize how the questions in your mind slowly change. Instead of, "Do I like this? Does this feel right to me? What do I think?" You find yourself asking, will they approve of this? Will this upset them? What would they say? That's what walking on eggshells does. It quietly relocates your center of gravity from inward, my values, my preferences, my signals, to outward, their moods, their standards, their reactions. You start living as if your safety depends on keeping them comfortable. Because for a while, it kind of does. Deep down, your body starts to believe safety lives in their mood, not in your truth. So you start treating their reactions like a code to crack, and yourself like a problem to solve. As time goes by, the woman who once lit up every room starts to walk on shards of her own silence. Breakfast becomes a test, dinner becomes a performance. At home, she places his coffee just right. With friends, she laughs just enough, but not too much. To the world, she looks put together. On the inside, she's exhausted. This is what devaluation does to your nervous system. It rewires love into fear, fear into anticipation, and anticipation into obedience. He doesn't have to cage her anymore. She's learned to cage herself. If you've lived like this, you might notice some of this in yourself. You rehearse conversations before you have them. You apologize before anyone tells you you're wrong. You feel guilty for needing anything. You leave interactions replaying every word you said, searching for what you messed up. None of that means you're broken. It means your body adapted to a chronic emotional threat by trying to become impossible to criticize. Right now, I would like to offer you a few gentle questions, not to judge yourself, but to help you notice how safe or unsafe it feels to be you around someone. Before I see this person, do I feel a quiet sense of ease or a sense of dread? Do I brace for their mood or look forward to being myself near them? After I spend time with them, do I feel more grounded in who I am or more doubtful and wrong? When they disagree with me, do I feel curious or instantly ashamed? Do I think, we just see it differently, or I must be ridiculous? If even one of those questions lands a bit sharply, take it as a signal. It's the part of you that still remembers that relationships aren't supposed to feel like exams. And if you're listening to this thinking, I can see all of this now, and part of me still feels like I failed, I want you to hear this clearly. You did nothing wrong by wanting to be loved. You were not wrong for wanting the relationship to work. The problem was never your effort. It was in the way your humanity was met with control. The very qualities that kept you adapting, your awareness, your empathy, your willingness to adjust, are not evidence that you were too much or not enough. They're proof of how deeply you cared, how hard you tried to keep peace in a story that kept changing the rules. In the wrong hands, those qualities were used against you. In the right hands, including your own, they can be honored, protected, and gently reclaimed. You're not expected to rebuild your self-worth in a single moment. It comes back in small pieces, a boundary here, a preference honored there. Simply being able to say, I walked on eggshells because the ground was unsafe, not because I was flawed, is already the beginning of a more honest narrative. If you'd like more context, it might help to listen to Anna's story from the beginning. I've placed the link in the description. For now, if this felt painfully familiar, pause for a moment. Take a slow breath in and a slow breath out. What happened to you was not a judgment on your worth. It was a sign of how unsafe your environment became. You deserved a love that didn't require you to disappear to keep the peace. You still do now. And step by step, you can stop walking on eggshells and start walking back towards your true self.